What's up, guys? How you doing?
What up?
Your good friends Brad and Andy are here, and we got a special guest straight from Allendale, Michigan. My good friend Ken Murillo. What up, brother?
Not much, man. Appreciate you having me.
Well, thank you for taking the time to hop on. We have a lot of things to talk about today. More like I guess the biggest one. Let's address the elephant in the room, and no, that's not a fat joke. All right.
Man, I just lost 20 pounds. You ain't got to talk about me.
I was referring to me, man. I was referring to me. Now, we are all Marines, and we're going to try to keep this PG-13 as best as we can. So we apologize up front if some things happen, some shenanigans.
Yeah.
But yesterday was a pretty, well, I should say not just yesterday, but it's been a really brutal stretch of 2 weeks in the financial market. If you were to look at if you paid attention to any social media, I mean, Jesus Christ, loan officers and real estate agents alike across the board are just copying and pasting everybody's freaking post about it, and so annoying. Yeah, the first one was really cool, but the next 1,000 that I see, you're not original, you suck. Keep moving, you know?
Yeah. Not much different than the the Amber Heard Johnny Depp last conversation.
Oh
I was
seriously. You know, come on, get some original content.
No, it was only the first time. Second time,
I saw that the first time I saw that was a gentleman. I think he's an Army guy in Texas. He does those garage epoxy flooring, and I read through the whole thing. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know. And a few days later, it's just like all of a sudden my whole news feed from all these real estate agents, and I'm like, man,
yeah, it's all over the place.
So what the hell are we talking about here? We're talking about the state of the financial market, right?
Yeah.
So yesterday was the day that everybody has been waiting for, because we've been dealing with inflation. We've been dealing with, in layman's terms, the easiest way to explain it, inflation is there's an influx of money on the streets, and they come back. All right. So how do they do that? They increase the cost of everything, so that, a can of Coke last year cost $1. This year it costs $2. So in theory, it's $2 off the street. All right. That's inflation, and that's what we're dealing with right now. Fortunately, the rate market is not tied to this big announcement that happened yesterday at 2:30 p.m. All right. The announcement was the Fed, which is the world's bank, increased their rate by 75 basis points. That is an absurd hike, but it's a much needed correction. Why a needed correction? Well, because back in January, the rate market and the bond market, which this is what affects your interest rates on mortgages, already corrected and anticipated this hike.
Well, they inverted, right?
Correct. So we have we're up here and down here. We need to be more here. Right. So this correction is going to get rid of this middle crap and come back down to normal. Now, that being said, is this a much needed correction, or is it really, truly financial Armageddon, as all media outlets lead you to believe?
No, I look at it from the standpoint of the Fed rate increase. And I love how people say rate hike, or, they use a little bit more descriptive or bombastic type word to make it sound, worse than it actually is. The rate increase needs to happen. So the Fed had to raise it because like you said, inflation is crazy right now. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. We're in a political season, right? So we've got elections. You usually have uncertainty in the markets during election years. We also have some global stuff going on with, conflicts elsewhere that are causing uncertainty, and it's dealing with food shortages across the world. It's dealing with fuel shortages and those prices increasing too. So to bring that inflation back down is an absolute necessity. Friday, this all started Friday when they announced that the month-over-month increase was 1%. We're up to 8.6% year over year now for inflation. That's crazy numbers, And nobody wants to go back to the late 70s when inflation was skyrocketing. The Fed raised the rate too much, too high, even more than they did yesterday. And it caused, a lot of stuff. I mean, but they raised the rates and you still had, you still had people buying houses. They were at like 15%, 20%. You still had people buying houses.
I'm glad you brought that up, because an interest rate of 8% or 9% or 10% is still far better than paying freaking rent.
Well, that's one of the things that's not being said, though, is that, yes, they are going up, but they were historically low, and now they're still low compared to what we had before. Yes, they went up a little bit, but that's not not enough to prevent people from buying a house and building their own equity instead of equity for someone else.
Or 7.8% is the average for the last 40 or 50 years, I think. So you got to think, we've been so low for the last 2-3 years, in the below 4. I mean, we definitely spent 2 years at around 3, if not below 3. We spent that far long. That was an anomaly. And that was done to help spur the economy because of a pandemic, right? Yep. Well, that stuff has subsided, right? We've learned to deal with it, but they kept it low even after that. They should have been raising it for over a year. They should have been raising it. I know last year we all expected them to raise it, and they just really didn't, So I think now they're having to correct all of that stuff finally, and we'll see where it goes. I think some things are going to change by the end of the year. Once we get through the elections, that uncertainty kind of goes away, and it'll start making some changes overall with the economy.
It will absolutely stabilize. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, I'm already expecting that. But oddly enough, the announcement at 2:30 happened, and lo and behold, we get the email: pricing has ceased. All markets have closed for adjustment. And I'm like, oh crap, here we go. Get ready.
Yeah.
And they opened the markets back up, and what was it? Pricing improved. Like, holy crap. So this doom and gloom that everybody's been pushing out there is false. It's just creating this unnecessary bullshit, honestly. Right. Yeah. Along those lines, I mean, we were talking before we went live. What's the most important thing that we need to do for our clients right now today? Ken, what do we got to do?
We got to educate them. I'd say the very first thing.
And get them pre-approved.
Pre-approved, yes.
Yeah.
Because let them know what's going on and why we're doing it. That way they're informed. But when I say let them know, I don't mean scare them like the media is doing to everybody, scaring them.
Tell them the truth. It's the truth. I mean, it's the cover and move. The first law of combat. If you guys follow me at all, I'm a Jocko Willink fan and extreme ownership. I apply it in all aspects of my life. First law of combat is cover and move. That means we work together throughout this whole transaction, right? So I'm never going, I'm going to give advice if they ask it of me, but I'm never going to give them professional advice on a real estate question, because it's not my wheelhouse. Stay in your lane, back to you guys, and vice versa. So if you can cover and move throughout the process, and this includes this absurdity in rate increases, right? Because the last thing that we want to do is be house hunting with, and we're going to get to why this is important in just one second, with the business affiliations. But if you're out there house hunting for month after month after month, especially with gas well over $5 per gallon now, it's very frustrating for agents and lenders alike, right? So you start getting you start carrying this mindset of trying to cram everything in, and then you start pushing the line of ethics. I'm not saying that people are doing unethical shit. All I'm saying is money makes you do stupid things. It makes you do really stupid things, right? And especially considering that, we can all admit on this call, full transparency, our numbers are way down from last year, right? And it's just the state of the market, okay? And we all knew this was coming, but we didn't know it was actually coming and didn't properly prepare, right? So what you're seeing now is a lot of really, really funky, wonky shit happening on every single transaction. And you're like, what? You know, it just makes them do stupid things. Just be cautious of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, before we went live, I was telling you a story about the low appraisal on a VA on a deal near me. And I knew all the parties involved, the agents and everything, and talking to the buyer agent, making sure she understood, you know, a reconsideration of value. They had lost Tidewater, and the buyer knew about reconsideration of value, but was choosing not to do anything. And I was like, do they realize, have you and the lender informed them, you know, the cost of not trying to fight for this deal that you already have in place, because rates have increased since they locked on that deal, and they're going to lose that by backing out, on top of the fact that prices are still increasing. They may not be increasing as much. You know, we are decelerating. We're not declining. We are decelerating, and they're going to pay more for the next house. They're going to lose some buying power as well with the interest rate going up. And her thing was, well, I think the prices are going to come down. And I was like, wait for it. It's going to happen eventually, but not anytime soon. And if you're doing any kind of service for your client, especially a veteran client, go after that ROV, try to save the deal in hand, because it actually is the best deal you got right now, because you don't know when and where the next one is. That buyer actually offered on my listing around the corner from this one and lost out, because we had another buyer that was willing to pay way over.
And if nobody knows what the ROV thing that you just mentioned, I will put the link to our video that we just did 2 weeks ago about the ROV and the VA appraisal process.
Right.
All right. I'll make sure to put that in. I'll make a note. But the state of the market is this: embrace the suck. Right. I mean, if you want a house, you will get into a house.
Right.
If you're pre-approved out house hunting right now, I highly encourage you to check in with your lender, because if you were pre-approved for a $300,000 loan at the beginning of the year, or even just 2 months ago, your purchasing power now is more like 250, 225, possibly even lower, depending on the lender, because who you work with is everything. Especially, I mean, I beat this child who you work with all the time, right? Right now, absolutely, positively, the absolute most critical time to work with people that are actually educated and experienced.
Most definitely.
Right? Because we're going to start seeing a lot of these. Oh, I'm going to be a real estate agent part-time. I'm going to do this on the side. I'm going to make a ton of money. Well, you can't be half pregnant and you can't be a half real estate agent. You get what you put in. Same as loan officers. So at the end of the year, we will see a substantial decrease in the amount of agents and the amount of lenders out there. So those who stay will be champions. I hate Michigan, but Bo Schembechler, God damn it, that was a great quote. Those who stay will be champions. So the people that make it through this downward turn are going to be your the people that actually are bettering themselves and improving and doing things for their clients the right way. Right.
Yeah, I think your term, what that quote you just gave, and embrace the suck, which every Marine knows that term, because that's what we do, right? But once you embrace it, it no longer hurts you, right?
Correct.
You learn to deal with it, and you're better off on the other side of it. You're better off in the long term. So, yeah, you might lose some buying power. You might pay a little bit more than you want, especially on your monthly budget. But in the long term, generally with real estate, long-term investment, you're going to make money.
So I'm going to hit one more topic on this, and then we're going to move on to your thing there, Andy, the business affiliations. But let's say that, for example, I have a veteran right now. We had to lock him in it was 5.75 last night. I gave him a call. I'm like, hey man, look, this is the state of the market. And I explained the whole thing that we've just been discussing. Here's the benefit to you. You're going to get into a house right now at a 5.75% rate. And I'm going to, towards the end of this year, beginning of next year is what the consensus seems to be, that, this is where all that compression is going to come down and the rates are going to come back down with it. Now, they're not going to go back down to the 2 range. I don't know how low they're going to go. But,
yeah, but even if it goes down a half a point, right?
Correct. That's what I was getting at. The VA offers a streamlined refinance program called the VA IRRL, IRRRL, interest rate reduction refinance loan. It is streamlined. There's no credit underwriting. There's only a credit pull to ensure on-time mortgage payments, no appraisal. I mean, these things are super easy. Okay. This is a benefit to us vets, and it's an incredibly easy program. The whole reason for this program is to save you money, period. Right? So you get into the house right now, 5.75. You found a house at the worst time ever to buy, or, the hardest time, not the worst time, the hardest time ever to buy. 8 months down the road, if rates are at 5, we can drop you 0.75 points down to a 5, and you're saving $100 or more a month. And that's in 8 months. And you can do an IRRL as many times as you possibly want to, but you have to wait 210 days from the close date, 210 days from the first payment dates of that IRRL, that new loan. So it's not doom and gloom. The future is bright. The future looks strong, especially in real estate. Everybody, people need housing. It's not going to go away, but we need more inventory. So if you want to sell, contact one of these two guys.
I think bringing up the IRRL is very important, because a lot of the veterans don't know about that.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like about it is the fact that it will only go through if it's going to benefit the veteran.
Yeah.
If it doesn't benefit the veteran, then guess what? You wait.
And by benefit, they have to break even within 36 months of closing, all the additional costs and things. So I think we can do another video at a later date about the IRRL when it's more prevalent.
Relevant?
It's what?
Relevant?
Yeah, relevant. Did I not say that word? Say 2 other words and not relevant? I meant to say relevant, but
we can piggyback the IRRL and the assumption together.
Absolutely.
We're going to start seeing assumptions because of the rate increases.
Yeah. And the VA allows for anybody, veteran, non-veteran, to assume a VA home loan. Now, me as a veteran, and if I own the house and I want somebody to assume my loan, that is really playing with fire, and we will break this down 100% at a later date. But we want to move on to the next topic, and this is kind of an important one, because again, who you work with matters, and it is everything in this market. And Ken has two agents on his team that are associated with a business affiliation with one of these lenders, and this guy had a breakdown earlier this week. But Andy posted it, and then no joke, 30 seconds later, Ken gets this call. I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about this. Business affiliations. There's a lot of lenders and builders that have their preferred lenders. They send you to these agents and lenders in hopes that you use them because they get more money in the long run, right? There's good, there's bad, and there's the ugly, and we're going to talk about it all. So, Ken or Andy, start it off, and then Ken, you can, kind of chime in too.
Do you remember your post that you did, Andy?
Yeah, basically. I could probably.
I'll say it.
Well, I could say it.
Go ahead.
I have it right here. It's that you asked, does anyone have any intel on VU and agents? Do they work with certain agents like NFCU used to?
What are these acronyms? Are we BAMS-ing right now?
Hey, I read it the way it was, so pretty much you wanted to know.
It was posted to a group of people that know those acronyms.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not going to say them. You guys can say it.
So
I refuse to say
VU is Veterans United, a lender that they're named. They're the
number one VA lender across the country.
Right. Their target market is veterans. And then the NFCU is Navy Federal Credit Union. They also go after active duty veterans. I used them when I was in for a bank. So I never used them for a mortgage or anything like that, but they were my bank when I was in. So no harm, no foul with either of them. But I had a situation where I was curious about it because I was asking, I hadn't talked to the agent yet, but it was crossing my mind, like, where is this agent's loyalty? Is it with her lead source that she's getting leads from VU, or is it to the veteran who is actually her client and she owes that, I'll say, fiduciary responsibility to? And I did finally speak to the agent and was made sure everything was kosher as far as the education of the client, the veteran, her, and what the lender was helping to do. So that was kind of my question. Where does your loyalty lie with that stuff? And technically, it lies with your client. If you have signed a brokerage agreement with a buyer or seller, it sits, your loyalty absolutely sits with that client.
So
not your lead source.
What we're talking about here is if a veteran goes online and gets pre-approved through these online lenders, these online lenders have a bullpen of agents that are hitting the easy button. I'm going to give you 30% of my commission if you send me leads in return. Okay. So it doesn't matter if that lead closes with them or closes with another lender, that 30% commission still has to be paid to the lead source, right? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, is there a monthly fee associated with this too, or is that Homes for Heroes that I'm thinking?
No, there's no monthly, no monthly fee with VU.
Homes for Heroes is a different program. It's a lot like this, but it's just people paying money every single month to get leads in return. They're hitting the easy button. It's like buying Zillow leeds. It's the same.
Well, honestly, no, I would say it's better than even Zillow leads.
I'm trying to draw a comparison here. Like all they're doing is throwing money at out there in hopes that they get it back. So they don't have I'm not trying to do a generalization here. All I'm saying is they're throwing money back, throwing money out. And then in return, are they truly, like what you said, are they truly doing what's best for their client, or are they doing what's best for the other company? Right. So in what we have experienced is these VU agents, these Navy Fed agents, all these other agents are paying money and they don't really, it doesn't pan out. It doesn't play out well in the real world. Right.
Yeah. I think with that, I mean, going back to the agent that we talked about, it just seems to me, and I don't know if it's just me because I'm more of trying to help the veteran out, and I know that program is not necessarily helping the veteran out to the full extent. And what I mean by that is because they do charge that 1% of the purchase price, but it just seems like the issues that we're having with the transactions that we're going through just so happen to be the referrals from that agency.
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole thing is why the hell are you going to pay 30% of your commission for a lead? Why don't you give that to the client? That would be looking out for your client's best interest, wouldn't it?
Yep.
But no, you actually have to do some work. So no, I'm just going to pay 30%. Right. Look, come on. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, the whole issue is what we've talked about before. I mean, the pre-qualifications, especially in our state. It's different for you, Andy. In the state of Michigan, we don't have any active duty bases. So we're surrounded by reserves and National Guard. So every time that we have to pull the eligibility document, we have to prove they met their time in service, either activation or 6 credible years, right? Most lenders, including the top 5 VA, don't generate it on the first call. This is a processing thing. So that means you've already gone under contract and now they're trying to generate the eligibility document. Well, question. Difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification is stated versus verified. How the hell can somebody be pre-approved if you haven't verified their eligibility? Right?
Yeah. I've heard of those situations where they even get down to the closing. It hasn't happened recently because the VA did make some changes, but you get so far into the transaction and they can't pull the COE, the certificate of eligibility, and then come to find out they're not allowed to get it.
We had one that came over from Navy Fed that was pre-approved. They've been house hunting for 2.5 months. This agent has been driving all around with this client. He applies. I look at his time in service. He started in September of 2021 as a National Guard member. I'm like, what in the actual, right? So I had to have a very difficult, uncomfortable conversation with that agent. Like, look, they're not eligible. How the hell, then they lose it. Now they're upset with VU or Navy Fed, wherever that, a dude came from. But it's,
but they're again, an agent, and Ken, you and I are the agents here. We need to know this stuff too, so that we can qualify our buyers, not financially, but especially veteran buyers, to say, hey, when did you serve? How long did you serve? Did you get out with an honorable discharge? Are you in receipt of disability? Yeah. Are you in receipt of disability? You're not allowed to ask if they're disabled, because that's, a federal thing. But you ask them if they're in receipt of disability. And
well, I mean, you got to think about it though. I mean, we can ask that. We can ask if they receive the disability, because it's not to like screen them out or discriminate against. It's because there are different programs out there that they will benefit from if they are receiving the government disability rating.
Right, but I'm saying you can't ask them if they are disabled.
Oh yeah,
that's the fair housing stuff. But you stated it like, hey, are you in receipt of disability payments? And then that's it. If they say yes, then they don't have to pay the funding fee.
Yep.
There's actually caveats to some of the qualifications to get your COE. If you're in receipt of if you have an SCD, service connected disability, and you're
STD,
service
there we go.
Disability. Although I guess an STD could be an SCD.
Oh man,
it's true. Okay, so a lot of people always ask me like, "Hey, I can't ask that question. It's a no-no question." I mean, okay, here's a no-no question. I cannot ask a girl, "Are you pregnant?" Right? Because what sort of financing program is out there for pregnant ladies? There isn't one, right? But if she says, "Yes, I'm pregnant," a lender can go, "Oh, well, within the next 9 months, you're going to be off of work, and you're going to be off of work for 4 weeks or more. Therefore, your income sucks, and we're not going to accept it. You're denied." Simply because she was having a baby, right? That is where this all comes from. However, if you ask a veteran, "Are you or your spouse a veteran?" There is a financial program called the VA Home Loan Program for that. Right. Are you in receipt of VA disability? There is a tangible benefit for that. They're exempt from the VA funding fee, and every state has different tax exemption laws. So if our state, 100% permanently and totally disabled or unemployable, exempt from property taxes, tangible benefit, right?
Well, I mean, it goes into the qualifications too, because if you weren't in active duty for 2 years or more, but you got out early because of a disability, so you got hurt, then that is the caveat. You can use it. You're rated for it, so there you go. So it's you got to ask those questions to qualify those people, and especially because if they come with their own lender, and in this case, they're going to come from VU, where we started with this conversation. If they come from VU, then you probably do want to ask those questions. If they come from any big box bank, mortgage company, you want to ask those questions on any veteran. I would ask certain questions with any buyer, but definitely with the veterans.
Definitely.
Because I mean, that's how the VA has built this reputation in the market, is from these yahoos. Because every lender across the country provides VA home loans.
Yes.
Very few actually execute at a high level with VA home loans, right? And like me and my team, we're predominantly VA. We're well over 90%. All of our loans are VA. Two of us are strictly VA, and I just recently opened up to the rest for Ken and his team. So I will learn how to spell FHA by the end of the year.
Hey, I mean, in your area, I bet you got a lot of USDA. So, and that's another great program.
And I can't spell that one, and I don't even have a login for Gus, which is the automated writing, automated system. But anyways,
I think that it's important for the agents to, and the reason why I feel as if those agencies are not benefiting is because you have to establish a relationship with the lender also, because you establish the relationship, you figure out their work ethics, you figure out, how they do things, to where if you are a part of that affiliated business agreement, then you may be getting a different lender for each one of those referrals that you get. and each lender works differently. And then now you don't build that relationship, and now you can't honestly tell your clients that you have a relationship with that lender, and you know how that things are going to run smoothly, because you don't know if they're going to run smoothly or not. And like what Brad said, every lender can do a VA home loan, yes, but does every lender know how to do a VA home loan? Do they know how to do it so that we don't go back to those agents before who look at the VA home loan as a black eye because the VA home loan takes forever to close? We're going to have issues. All those different things that they've said. I will say this. My time in real estate after I retired from the Marine Corps, I haven't had any issues. I have dealt with more agents telling me how it used to be instead of how it is right now.
Yeah.
So I've then had to try to educate them. I've made it my passion to learn anything and everything that I can about the VA home loan process with the assistance of Brad and his team, continuously learning. Even if I've already been to that class, I'm going to that class again because I'm going to pick up something different. I'm going to learn something different.
Correct. The VA guidelines are a living, breathing document, right? They're always updating, always clarifying and things like that. So if you're not an active practitioner in the VA space, if you close a VA home loan in January and then your next one isn't until October, or have the guidelines updated? Absolutely, they have. So they don't know because they're not in it every day, and it's yes, it's a little bit their fault.
Like I said, they're all able, but how many of them are actually proficient in it?
They want the easy button and they want to be lazy. I mean, that's what it all boils down to. Those who stay will be champions. I'm going to stick to that because it's true. Right now, yes, our numbers are down. So agents and lenders are starting to re-educate themselves and reinvent or rebrand, whatever you want to call it. Because now they need to start generating more business. Because in 2020 and 2021, before I even put on pants in the morning, I had 2 loans. Right? Like waiting in the pipeline. And you guys were probably the same way because you just wake up and loans, it's just raining loans. Now, and you've already noticed it on Facebook and everywhere else, the return of the lender appreciation and the realtor appreciation stuff, right? Because now they're like, oh crap, where am I going to get my next loan from? Or where am I going to get my next lead? Who you work with is everything in this market, right? Ken, do you have to go here pretty soon?
Yep, I'm gonna have to be taken off shortly.
Give us your final thoughts.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate you guys having me on this with you, and I look forward to future guest appearances. But I mean, the main thing is with us looking out for the best interest of our clients, with our brothers and sisters at arms. I feel as if, working with those that we trust will benefit them more in the long run and not have any of that stress of home buying itself. It's already stressful enough going from house to house, trying to figure out which house you're going to put in an offer in on, and then, standing on pins and needles, waiting to see if that offer is going to be accepted. But it goes both ways. You don't only need to have a lender who knows what they're doing, but you also have to have an agent that knows what they're doing too, because there's things that we look for that other agents may not know to look for, because we have taken it upon ourselves to educate ourselves on that VA home loan process. So in the case of the VA home loan purchase process, who you work with does truly matter. So
correct. And you hit something. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be a VA experienced agent. You just need to be open to learning about the VA.
Exactly.
That's the biggest part. I mean, if you have no experience with VA, hey, roger that. Let's do this, right? Yeah. I will teach you. I will lead you through this. Absolutely, right?
There's definitely multiple times to where, because I'm a firm believer, I know that I cannot help every single veteran who's out there.
Yep.
With that being said, I have taken it upon myself to assist other agents in helping their veteran clients, because if I can't help them, then I would much rather somebody be educated that's going to be able to help them. And in the long run, I have done my job, because I'm still helping a veteran, even though I'm not directly affiliated with them and helping them. I'm still helping them in a way to become a homeowner, because I'm a firm believer, and I know Brad's a firm believer, and I'm sure you are too, Andy, that if a veteran becomes a homeowner, they are less likely to take their life because now they have a sense of ownership.
Yeah.
Bingo. You know,
that's what, I mean, veterans, that's where a lot of our stuff, we want a sense of duty, a sense of responsibility, and owning a home is all of those things. It allows you to take care of yourself and your family, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of that stuff. So that's something we probably don't talk enough about, but that is definitely something to hit home on with helping these guys.
Ken and I talk about it quite a bit because we run 92 for 22, which is a veteran suicide PTSD awareness nonprofit, and I run vet sports as well. And Ken plays on the softball team, and we're all about trying to just help veterans get out of the house. But what Ken was saying is 100% true. If I stop what I'm doing to help a loan officer close on a VA home loan, I know multiple things. Number one, we're accomplishing the overall mission of veteran home ownership, right? But number two, if I can talk to this loan officer, help them correct the error, I know that they're never going to make that mistake again, right? So therefore, me multiplied by even 0.5% is better than me by myself, right? So if I can replicate myself as much as I possibly can, which is what we do in VMA, the Veteran Mortgage Advisor, and we're in the beginning process of the housing side, which is the agent-facing stuff, which is why we're doing this, to get the ball rolling with it. So stay tuned for those announcements. But collectively, we can make a difference, and we can really start changing the perception of the VA home loan in the market if we have the proper amount of people doing it the right way.
For sure.
Would you agree? Andy, final thoughts before Ken has to go. He has to go power wash a house.
Hey, thanks for that shameless plug, but if you're going to give me a plug, you got to say the name too.
I was just going to say that. You cut me off. Ken owns a business called GI Bins. It's a trash bin cleaning service and power washing service. I love nothing more than every third Monday of the month, I get a text from Jose. I'll be at your house in 30 minutes. Roger that. And my dumpsters smell like lavender in my garage because the HOA makes me put my dumpsters in the garage, and my garage doesn't smell like crap. So, cool.
Yep, we'll put that website in the link too.
Ken will. Andy, final thoughts?
Final thoughts, fellow agents out there. Just, if you don't deal with a lot of VAs, if you're not going to be open-minded, I don't care if you're listing side, buyer side. You've got to be open-minded. Just because there are a lot of changes that have happened in the last 2 years that not all loan officers know, definitely not all agents know, and for sure, not all veterans know. So educating yourself so you can better serve your client. Doesn't matter what side of the table you're on, get educated. There's so many resources out there. I know I'm working on CE for Georgia and Florida. You guys have CE in multiple areas as well as organizations to help educate agents and loan officers. So that's really the key here is educating, getting these people informed so that you can better service your client. That's who it's about, especially when it comes to fellow veterans.
Bingo. Equip yourself. I'm gonna use a Batman quote here because Ken's favorite dude is Batman. Put all your tools in your bat belt and go get after it. Right? I mean, and what I mean by that is educate yourself, properly arm yourself to go to battle. Right? Yeah. So you have a bat belt and throw in all the VA stuff. I know Ken and I have already been in talks about teaching CE down in Florida to agents and doing a veteran direct classes because both of us are now licensed there. Right? And that's who knows what's coming soon. But we're going to start doing that because we need to start expanding. Our message needs to become bigger, broader, on a grander scale.
Yeah.
Period.
We cannot assume that the veteran knows their benefits.
Absolutely.
Ever assume that. So that's all we got today, folks. Ken, thanks for joining. Hopefully you can be a co-host eventually when things start to simmer down a little bit with your freshly new, well, not new, it's still kind of new, I don't know, your newly formed team and the transition to EXP. Andy and I are just going to keep getting after it. And whenever you want to come back on, just let me know, brother. You're
Sounds
always
good. Appreciate it.
All right, brothers. Semper Fi. Thanks for your
Wow.
time. Get after it.